but then you would get only limited time in the computer. Like you would get 30 minutes a day or a week or something. So most of computer programs had to be done on paper. So we used to write the program and we used to iterate the algorithm. We used to put, we used to do everything on the paper. And once we are sure that this is what lands up is when we used to actually type it out. And then the code had to just work, right? Because you won't have so much time. But that really helped because there was a lot, your brain is like a computer, right? Then you use your brain to write your algorithms and see, can I do iterative algorithms versus recursive algorithms? Can I solve the same problem using recursive, if not iterative? Like, can I reduce the number of variables I use in an algo? So a lot of those thought was on pen and paper back then, but now I would say it's much better. But the flip side is the children or the youth this age have bigger problems to solve.
Hello everyone, welcome to the ScholarHat show. Today we having the Saranya Sriram. She is a product manager in Microsoft and she is also a tech speaker. Hi Saranya, welcome to the show.
Hi, hello, hi Shailendra. Hi everyone, nice to meet.
So Saranya, let us know about yourself. How was your career journey started with Microsoft and what is your experience with Microsoft working from, I think you're working from there from your beginning of your career and now it is more than 19 years, right?
That's right. It's been a long time with Microsoft. Microsoft has been my first and continues to be my first company. Although to be fair, I've done various roles in Microsoft, roles that span being a developer and what is called as a cloud developer advocate, or in olden days, it used to be called as a developer evangelist. And then I've been a solution architect, cloud solution architect, then moved over to building teams primarily in the Asia region, spanning India, Greater China region, which is mainland China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore. So that has brought into a lot of building technical talent and building teams of cloud solution architects. Furthermore, I've also been in the engineering team. I'm currently leading the product team for this part of the world across India and Asia, APAC. Massively distributed, data-intensive, real-time, high-ingestion database called Azure Cosmos database.
Okay, so before discussing your, whatever the things you are doing right now, let's go back. How you actually started your career in IT? So I was reading about you. I think initially it was not your decision to come into the computer science. I think the interest was somewhere else, right? So just let us share your journey, how you come into the IT field.
Sure. Okay, going back many years ago, right? If you see, each one comes with their own innate personalities and innate traits and learnings. For me, it has been academic excellence when I grew up, not like an avid, not like a very ambitious academics person, but I was focused on learning the fundamentals. Math and science used to be my passion. Like I was generally a very good student. But outside of that, I was also very inclined to creative arts. I used to play the veena. I still do. I dance Bharatanatyam and I still do performances, etc. So there was a lot of artistic sports. I was like, they say jack of all trades, master of none, like trying to go and explore different possibilities when it comes to. So that was me initially. But as this grew up, I did enjoy the social impact side of it as I grew up, which primarily meant that I felt if you're a doctor, you can see immediate impact. So at some point in my life, I think as I was growing, I really wanted to be a doctor because I said I can go do a surgery or I could maybe do things free and then it's immediately impactful. I took it to a point like I was very particular. I wanted to be in India, support Indian economy. I would have thumbs up and not Pepsi. I would marry a guy who wanted to be in India. So it was to a point where I was really the social impact focused, right? So, and computers was more like a very elitist, even having access to a PC was a big deal, to be honest.
So but first time when you get the access to your PC, because I know at that time the people don't have the laptop. That time if you're having a computer, it's a different joy at that moment.
No, actually that's a very interesting point because I remember we were lucky, right? Because I was in a very good institute. I was in BITS Pilani. I got scholarship and I landed there. BITS Pilani. Now there is BITS Pilani, Hyderabad. Hyderabad, BITS Pilani, Goa, BITS Pilani. There's so many other BITS. We were part of the original BITS Pilani. But then you would get only limited time in the computer. Like you would get 30 minutes a day or a week or something. So most of computer programs had to be done on paper. So we used to write the program and we used to iterate the algorithm. We used to put, we used to do everything on the paper. And once we are sure that this is what lands up is when we used to actually type it out. And then the code had to just work, right? Because you won't have so much time. But that really helped because there was a lot. Your brain is like a computer, right? Then you use your brain to write your algorithms and see, can I do iterative algorithms versus recursive algorithms? Can I solve the same problem using recursive, if not iterative? Like, can I reduce the number of variables I use in an algo? So a lot of those thought was on pen and paper back then. But now I would say it's much better. But the flip side is the children or the youth this age have bigger problems to solve. We had to do linked list, heap, and stack, and those were our data structures. Today with AI, and they are looking at a perceptron, they have a different ball game. So you have a lot of more interesting stuff as
well. I understand. I think how you started the career, you started the writing the program on the the register and the paper. Even I have seen in my career as well. Even what are the training we took from our senior, from the teacher, they also suggested actually whenever you are writing especially for the logic building, it should actually start with the paper. Even I'm sharing with my student as well. If you're willing to get logically good, so don't write the program on computer, because if you're writing the program on the computer, so there is no compiler running here. Until compiler is not running here, you cannot get the exact things. So this is a really good experience.
Just because it compiles doesn't mean your code is right. Right? Like that's another thing. Like, people have access to compiler. They just want to compile the program, and if the parser is compiled and everything is fine, they think that's correct. But logic is beyond your compilation.
Yeah, of course. So if there is a learning to the audience here. Saranya started his journey to write the program on the register. Even the people who are willing to good in the logic building, so should start writing the program on the paper, because until you are not running the compiler here, you are not getting the experience, that joy in the programming, because usually programming is just looking into the joy. If you are not looking into that way, so you are just having it's just boring things. Even whenever you're writing the thing on the computer, you are getting the syntax error over there, you will not able to recall, you will not able to remember.
Yeah, so that has been my first time. You asked me when was the first time you had access to computer. Yeah, it was maybe during very limited way during I would say during my high school, 12th grade, etc. And then in BITS Pilani, we did have access to computer.
So I was reading your story. So you are a single child, right?
That's right.
So as a single child, we having many benefits as well. We having, there's some restriction as well. I know as a Indian family, they are, more, I would say, they are focusing on their single child well, so that they are, in the things of that area. So what was your challenges? What was the struggle being a single child? If you want to share something around that.
For sure. Like talking of my upbringing, right? I did have a very educated parents. That itself is a blessing. Like if you look at population of India or people in the world, just having access to parents who are educated, you are over 50-60% of the world population, you have an edge over others. So that way I do consider myself very lucky. That being said, my mother was a teacher. So there was this academic rigor and all of that side. My dad was a writer, and he was also an entrepreneur, and he was the one who would and he would write I wouldn't call religious writing, but more philosophical kind of books, right? Questioning the existence and the rights and the wrongs and the goods and the evils. So I was brought up like that, but I was a single child, and I was the only girl in my entire family of extended family. So in a way, very pampered, quite conservative upbringing, meaning that even there was a lot of love around me. So don't get me wrong, there was no challenges and struggles. There was a lot of love, but the very fact that, hey, can I go and study engineering? That itself was a question mark, right? Like, why should a girl go and study even? And also then I was born in Chennai, down south, again, in a very conservative Indian Tamil Brahmin society. And this was a college I got in Northern India in BITS Pilani, and there was huge resistance to even send me out there. And then I was lucky to get an an internship abroad as part of that struggle. And that was another struggle to say, oh no, how can we let her out of the country? We've let her out of the house is a big deal. So you're not going. So there was all of that. The interesting part is during those times in my life, as I said, I always wanted to study. I wanted to do a PhD. I wanted to do masters. Plan to write my GRE. So there was a lot. It was all set, right? But this is where I want to tell the audience also. Life doesn't go based on what you plan. You make a lemonade if you get lemons, right? You just make the best of your life. So that's where when my parents got ill and I realized me as a single child, they needed me. I just quit everything in France when I was doing my internship there and said that I want to just come back to India and be with them and take care of them. And when I came here, it was lucky that I didn't want to waste. That's another thing to the audience, right? Although you might have a lot of other things happening around you, you don't lose your core. What is your core? For me, at that time, I started loving computers. I was part of the IT team in France. I came back for my parents and I said, I'm sitting there. And the plan was to go back to France, take a job there, and then plan my, save the money, plan my GRE, and then my, PhD and all of that. But then since I was sitting here for 3 months, 4 months, and I was saying, why to waste? Then I started looking for companies and small internships. So then I applied for Microsoft intern, and there was, and I happened to get that internship. And I said, I'll do it for 3 months and then go pursue my higher studies and things like that. And it's so the point I want to tell the audience there is many of us, and I'm not saying that I'm class apart, I'm doing this, everything just happens and falls at place. But when you do get an opportunity, don't lose out opportunity. There was a problem, say, in my life where I said that I can't live abroad. And I made the choice. It was my decision to come back to Chennai and be with my parents. At that time, when I was there, I started looking around, seeing what kind of computer courses are there or what internships are there. If I'm spending 6 months in India, 3 months, can't I go do something else with my parents here? So the only thing I struck a deal with Microsoft and I got is, can you loan me a laptop? I don't have the money for a laptop. Can you loan me? I will work for 20 hours, but I will work from Chennai. And that is another big deal. I don't want to stop you from questions, but I just want to leave the point that sometimes you have to ask for what you want. You don't know what you will be given. You should ask. In my career, when I think I asked at two very poignant points. One was at that time, both my parents were in the hospital. And the only thing I asked when I got the internship is that I'll work out of hospital, but I need a laptop. And they were not giving laptops back then. But because I asked and they said, okay, why not? We'll try. I mean, it's only an internship. If she fails, we will leave her, right? The second time this thing happened is current role I am right now after 19 years or 18, 17 years. I was a lot in customer sales, partner organizations. And here I got a role to be an individual contributor, means that not a manager, starting fresh, and said that you can come back to an engineering organization, building products. And all of Microsoft's engineering organization is either in India or in the US mostly. And there's a presence in China as well. And that's when I went back to them and said, my family is in Singapore because I live here for the last 10 years. I really want to join you, but in my terms, which is I will work out of Singapore, but I will work for the US, I'll work for India. And it's working out, right? The takeaway is don't shy away from asking, but don't shy away from hard.
Yeah, appreciate. So here the learning for the audience is whatever you are liking, what are the passion you have. So keep following that. What are the situation you have been, as Saranya did in her past. And because of that passion, because of that interest, she is able to get the right opportunity. She able to, follow her passion. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think you stayed in the Singapore when you started to move to the Singapore. So that time I think you having the 3 years old child. So how you able to manage at that time? Can you share that experience?
So that transition is another interesting thing. So first and foremost, when I got converted to a full time in Microsoft, I was a developer and I was in what is called the India Development Center, which is primarily in Hyderabad. Now we do have an office in Bangalore also, but at that time it was fully in Hyderabad. And then when I got married, as I've told you, as an Indian conservative woman, there was a need that I have to follow my husband, and so I had to move to Bombay. And such pit stops happen a lot to women. I think you have to go where your husband is, and so I was ready to do that. And most logically, I went and I actually resigned out of Microsoft. verbally, right? But
Okay.
then that's when they also came back and said that, hey, why don't you join sales organization? Now, there is no technical organization. Why don't you join sales organization? So starting as a
Okay.
developer, joining a sales organization was an extremely different turn. But then it just felt right because, I mean, at that time, priority was to be with family, but also the fact that I can be in a tech company and doing a tech role within the culture and the ecosystem that I'm comfortable with and to make a difference. So I did the only technical job in a sales organization, which was what is called as a technology evangelist, called as cloud developer advocate. So as that happened, and a lot of skills during that role, because you're in the sales organization, you do presentations, you do keynotes, and then because you're technical, you start building demos and you write your own demos, and then you go and do it on stage and you do it, you build scenarios. Hey, a new movie is released, we'll do a ticketing system as a demo and then show people how it was. Like, just manage how things are and just enjoy the process. As that happened, it so happened that there was focus on Microsoft Azure, which is the cloud that we all know.
So do you was good in the sales? Because initially it was a complete, the technical role. Now it is a complete shift into the sales one. Because in the sales, you should be the very proactive. You have to take the question, you have to answer them promptly. So how was your experience? Because many people actually afraid in changing their, the career from technical to the technical evangelist, the technical, the
So
developer
true.
advocate like things.
No, one is they are scared. Two is, I think, a little bit of opinionated arrogance. Like that's what I had at the time. Like when I was in France, I got a free MBA degree at INSEAD, which was quite expensive,
Okay.
right? But at that time, I thought, who'll sit and do an MBA or, things like that. I'm a techie. I want to come back and code, right? So that was the ethos. And so having done that for a couple of years and now going to Bombay and even within Microsoft sales organization, and my mindset was a little arrogance to say, why should I do this? Is it even worth it? Right. And two, of course, as you said, can I do it is the secondary, but those are the emotions that play. But at the end of the day, as I said, 2, 3 strategies. One strategy is fake it to make it, meaning that at the end of the day, of course, you're scared. Of course, you're nervous. It's your first time you're going in front of customers and you can't run away and open a book and read up things. You face the customer
Yeah.
directly and you need to provide. Two, you have to be authentic to customers. You have to be real. You want to be their trusted advisor. So you have to tell the truth, right? And if you call a spade a spade. So with these basic things, of course, so it is a learning, I would say. But to the audience, what I would like to say is it's not easy and it doesn't come naturally. Things are learned.
Right.
So you just go fake it, say that you're good in your mind and go and talk. Eventually you learn and then you will become good. So that was my strategy, to be honest.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Yeah. So that was how that happened. But what was interesting is till then, I was basically just going with the flow, right? Because I loved Microsoft, I loved the job, and I was starting to work on the Microsoft cloud, which had not taken off. So it was something that I was learning and reading and things like that. So it was all very cool. That's when this pit stop came that there was this opportunity in Singapore that they said that if you want to be on the Microsoft Azure, then it's 100% Azure role is on Singapore. In India, we used to have this Nokia Lumia phones. So there was a
Okay.
lot of
Okay.
focus
Okay.
on the phone business
Mm.
here. So then in a way I said, I want to do it. And why not? 2, 3 things happened. One is that interest and passion on the technology was definitely mine. I really wanted to do something on cloud. So that clarity was there. But then I should also say support from family, right? It's very important because I think as we mature, as we ground, we need to have anchors. One is passion. Two is you need definitely an anchor in your life. That anchor could be your husband, your mother, your sister, somebody, your best friend, could be anyone,
Right.
but you need to be human and we need to be vulnerable. At that time, I would say my husband was supportive and very counterintuitive to Indian tradition and the tradition I came from. Like my parents were shocked, I would say. A very different tradition that he said, why don't you go? And we'll see if I'll follow. So for a year, I was with my daughter in Singapore. Of
Okay.
course, extended. My father came for 1 or 2 months to help because my mother was working, and so my father had just retired. So it's a family thing that happened. And then my husband would plan to come every month or so because obviously, growing daughter, he didn't want to miss seeing her. And then eventually he relocated to Singapore following me, right? So that was a big deal for us in our family, that priorities are clear. Family comes first, health comes first. Only if these are in place, you can pursue your passion and you can do things that you truly love. But if you truly love something, it will happen. And your support system will ensure that it will happen, and you will ensure that it will happen. So it's really not about can you do something, it's really about how much you want to do something. This is another thing I learned on my personal space. I want to tell the audience. It's never the question, do I have the capability? Can I do it? Do I have the ability? That's all not the question. The real question is, how much do I want to do something? It's only the want that matters. So, yeah, that's how the Singapore happened.
So if you are doing the things, whatever you are willing to do, automatically the circumstances start supporting you, especially your family, your dear one, your parents, your spouse, whatever you have.
You'll
This
figure
way.
out a way that makes it happen to keep your support system happy, right? You will figure it out slowly. At sometimes it might work, might not work, but you will figure it out. This is what I'm saying.
So at what time you decided to share your knowledge through your tech speaking? I think now you're doing the tech speaking as well. So when you started to share
Oh,
your
so that,
knowledge,
yeah, so it's an interesting thing. So that was a very learned skill for me. For some people, people who are very community or focused, etc., like there is something called Microsoft Valued Program, MVPs, and Google has their own community, and Facebook, and all companies, Amazon, all of them have their own community advocates, right? So all of those are there. For me, it happened because as when I joined the technical evangelist role, or what we call as cloud developer advocate, one of the
okay,
important parts of that role is evangelism. And to be honest, as I said, I learned that skill on my job. It was first a job. It was not something that I was super passionate about, to be honest. It was a job that I did. But as I was doing the job, I started connecting. First and foremost, the ability to be able to talk to audience of, say, 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 5,000 people are different when you connect to different audience. And that's a skill that you build. And then what do you want to convey and how you want to impact? Those are different. And as I said, when I was a small child, I was very socially, I would say, socially inclined, right? So when
social incline.
this thing happened, it was very natural. So the way I even got a leadership position in Microsoft, for example, was never like I wanted to be a people manager. It was just the fact that being this evangelist, doing sessions, connecting with people, just gives me
Okay,
energy and it drives. And seeing others successful makes you happy. It's, I think, that is some nature of people, and for me, I did feel that. So that's how that happened. And so I would not call myself a very proactive community person. Like, I'm not a person who's actively in communities, but I'm very passive social in community engagements, meaning it gives me energy to do that. I will do that because I enjoy connecting with people, enjoy meeting people, enjoy talking to people. But it is not for me to build my personal brand as a community person. I have not yet entered that space. Maybe I will enter at another point. But at this time,
okay.
it is very much to the fact that I enjoy teaching. So that's the
So have you connected with the MVPs as well in Microsoft round across the
yes.
globe?
So during those 7, 8 years, significant part of that role is what we call as regional directors and MVPs, Microsoft valued professionals, interactions, integrations, etc. So there was a lot of community work, community building, talking in Microsoft TechEds and open source conferences, etc. So after I changed roles, and even now in engineering team, naturally about 20% of my life or my time I dedicate to community, right? Because it's just something that it's like once cycling, cycling for life. You will not give it. Like that, once you start engaging in community, you're always a community person. You might not do as much as you did before, but it gives you energy. So you will do it for the community. And currently, as a product engineer, the engagement is on the other side, meaning that we now work with, we build Microsoft MVPs for our products, for our platform. In the previous role, it was more about nurturing the MVP community. And here it's more about recruiting the MVP community.
I'm also the MVP from last 7 years from Microsoft.
I see. On which technology?
In Visual Studio Technology.
Dev is what that engineering team developer.
Yeah. Developer. If I would proceed further, so how you're looking now your 19 years of career, especially along with the Microsoft, you spend a lot of things. I think you have looked at the technical area as well, your sales as well, your technical evangelist as well. So if you look back your career, so what was your experience? What was your learning? If you will sum up now, so how you're willing to sum up the thing?
About a couple of years ago, I was in the same crossroads. As I said, that I have a very different career path. For example, if you see people as developers in Microsoft, they'll be a developer, senior developer, principal developer, engineering manager, group engineering manager, so on. Similarly, if you're a tester, if you're a product manager, or if you're a salesperson, then you have a chart out path, right? Microsoft gave me this opportunity to go across various roles, right from go-to-market or GTM to sales across customers, partners, then starting in a developer organization as an app dev, and then coming back into an engineering organization as a product manager and leading product managers. So it's been very different, the same company, but extremely different roles that I do feel like, I'm ready to do a startup and I kind of know different parts of what it takes to build a product, to ship a product, to sell the product, to realize value of the product. So that part of it, I do feel good about. But a couple of years ago, I did do my MBA with Chicago Booth School of Business. So just to complete, the girl who didn't want to do an MBA in the early part of her life and career, this time after 18 years, decided it's not a bad idea.
Finally, you have done your MBA.
I've paid for it also. So it was funny that it happened after 18 years. But to answer the question, right, what now, where we are, the idea was to say that there are two things that gives me energy. One is technology, and two, nurturing and helping technical people. And to work on technology, I think at this point, I've been like completely Microsoft focused, Microsoft fangirl, etc. But Microsoft has also been a very open platform in the last decade or couple of years. So especially our product is something that we work a lot with, for example, open source communities like Postgres and other acquisitions and even NoSQL components, etc., Cassandra and more. So that part of me is a huge learning. So I strive to learn technically. Two, using my MBA or using all my experiences across nurturing the right talent and recruiting is going to be a very pivotal role as we grow in our careers. Building the talent is something that I'm focused on.
So what the message you want to give to the women who are in tech? Because your journey is very interesting, because you have done many roles. It's a, many inspiration, because many women, somehow they stuck as you having your a little bit journey where a woman has to follow some, whatever the ritual we have in India especially. So what the message you want to give?
So to the women out there, maybe three messages just to distill a couple of things to give clarity. I'm thinking out loud here. First one is, as I said, that if you look at data statistics, specifically in India, for example, or even worldwide, the literacy rate, educational excellence, a lot of women are far better if you look at stats. The belief and the trust in yourself is something that is super important for a woman. Many times we expect others to tell that we are good as you work. And I think India also, culturally in India, we are told to say that other people will tell you you're good. But then if you go outside, if you go to the US, if you go abroad, you will realize that actually you should say you're good, because that's when people will believe that, hey, if she herself believes, then I can believe her. If you don't believe yourself, others won't believe you. So if you look at it in that way, you have to believe that you are good and it's possible. The second thing is there is no shortcut to hard work, irrespective of whether you're a woman or a man, for that matter. I think everything you need to invest that time. And today's youth or today's generation is looking for a lot of shortcuts because of the way education is, the way instant gratification happens. You want to do something and you want the result soon, because we are very fast paced. But if you don't invest that time to learn fundamentals, to learn basics, to know what you're, and working hard in that initial few years, working hard, focused on learning, right? That is what
Right,
is my
right.
second takeaway. Money,
Mhm.
success, fame, everything will follow. But the fundamentals is core, and the foundational first 5, 6 years is very core for fundamentals. So that will be my second thing for women. Third thing is lean on other women around. I think building the right network is also very, very important. By network, it's a lot of women have gone through hardships that you go through. And to be honest, the systemic issue in today's world, like women, you have a bio clock. Like I had my daughter
Okay.
and I couldn't
Mhm.
work, for example. But what did, again, lean on men around you. There are people you ask for help, you will get it. For example, I was probably, and you can say I'm lucky, many people aren't, but you can figure out
Mhm.
your own niche and own ways. Like I kind of said that, hey, I will do all the back end job because I was in a front end sales thing, but I said I will sit and do all the back end job as long as you can go
Mhm.
present everything. And all the men have supported
Mhm.
me for 8 months until my daughter, for example, when she was born. Now you will say that, hey, it's not, I might not get an opportunity. You might not, but you might get a different opportunity. It's what you make out of what you get. And unless you ask, you will
Okay.
not get. So the third one is lean on your women network, lean on your men network. Do not shy away from asking. If you do hard work very sincerely, if you believe in yourself that you can do it, and you create a network where you're vocal and you ask what you want in a very humble way, I'm sure something good will happen.
Yeah, very strong message you have given to the woman in the tech. Of course, few things I want to add here. Let's say when you said about the networking, all the thing, definitely is important. If you having the people around you who thinking like you, so definitely you will get some motivation. Because what happens here, what I feel, the big one, I even it's not about the woman, it's about the man as well. If you want to be in a particular field, until you will not follow the people who are doing the similar type of things, how you will get to know what are the steps, what is the right things they can do. So nowadays we have a lot of opportunity. You can join the meetups, people share their experience. Because sometimes what happens here, don't have the people around us which are going to match our passion. So somehow we have to find a new network. How you can find out the new network? You can find out the new network by meeting the new people. So we having the option for webinars, seminars. We have a lot of meetups. If you will join them, so you can increase your network. You're able to get the right people over. One last question. So what was the advice you want to give to the young age scholars? I would say the scholars, the people who are going to start their career journey.
Advice to you
If
guys
let's
are
say
very
somebody is
smart.
asking,
You should
if
know that you're
somebody,
very, go on, sorry.
yeah, yes, if let's say somebody willing to get a job into the Microsoft as a the
Noise.
tech domain into the what are the things you are doing? So what can be the path?
Hey, there are lots of paths to enter Microsoft or large companies, or even good companies, or small companies, or startups, anything, right? I know my
Mhm.
own colleagues who was a mailroom person who didn't complete an engineering degree, 12 standard pass, and who joined. I know another colleague
Okay.
with me who's a
Mhm.
BCom who didn't do anything with computer science. He joined NIIT, but he just loved computers. Now he's in Microsoft. He's a very lead engineering manager. So I
Okay.
think there is no one path or one recipe for you to join. It basically, maybe one thing that you need to do is there is always a door to open. As a
Mhm.
technologist, what is your door that you want to knock? Do you want to be a developer, or do you want to be a product, or you want to be a UX designer? Even in developer, there is front end developer, there is back end developer. Try to identify your niche. That's my message to the youth. Do not go broad,
Okay.
go deep.
Mhm.
Pick a small area and figure out your niche. And that could even be technology consulting. That could be technical sales, like technical technology marketing. Everything has its own space in this world. Gone are the days where there's only one role in the world and you have to go only that thing, because each of us
Okay.
are cut out in different ways. So maybe the first thing that as a youth you have to understand what drives you passion, and which of, even in technology, which part of technology you really really enjoy. And once you figure that out, go full on. Do not let go on the accelerator or the pedal, because there is no other option. You have to make it, plan B is always far away. It's there, but that's not your choice. Choice is planning. So invest your time, figure out what you want, and then go for it. And with what, Shailendra, as you said, right? Today,
Okay.
community, people, you
Mhm.
have access to so much. So that way you can actually sit in one corner and make yourself visible and create. People are just looking at LinkedIn profile or maybe artifacts or articles you've written to give jobs. No longer job is like a 1 hour interview that we set and we say yes or no. Of course, we do interviews, but then there is various different kinds of interviewing. We do projects with people. We give them an assignment and say, go figure out how it works. And assignment, we don't even give them topics. We say, you pick the topic and you tell me. It's basically for them to show us the best. So as recruiters or ads, and if I have to hire people, I don't look for opportunities to remove or discard people. I find opportunities to hire people. So always, so unless you go and screw it up to a point that you tell them, please don't hire me, then there's not a choice. Everyone wants to hire you. So you need to identify, well, how can I give them more reasons? How can I give them opportunities to hire? I don't need to know everything they know. I can be vocal and say, I don't know that. I don't know back end. I know only front end. In front end, I know only this thing. Today, people are open. If you say you know and you actually know what you know, then you know. So one liner, go deep, don't go broad, identify what you like and go deep.
Yeah, very good message you have given, because what is happening here, the people are confused. They're learning so many things. As the recruiter, you having the expectation from the student, so you share the things right way. So company are not expecting you should be good in all the technology. They're expecting whatever you know, you should be very deep in that area, so that whatever the things the company having around that area, you able to do it. It's not about you just looking here and there and you just a all-rounder, but you are not able to do anything. Thank you, Saranya, for sharing your wonderful journey with us. There are a lot of message from this discussion. If you will see here, it's a very good talk we having with Saranya. Thank you for your time and coming on the show.
Thank you, Shailendra. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for viewers for your time as well.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.